Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We have it coming up. Ghana International Trade Commission sets first week in December to begin hearing the issue of unfair trade practices by some Chinese manufacturers against local firm Aluwex Ghana. Also coming up in the bulletin, Association of Ghana Industries AGI backs call for national industrial trade policy to support local content in the upstream petroleum sector. Plus, financial stakeholders downplay the impact of the informal sector's contribution to Ghana's low revenue numbers. Details of all these stories plus more in the next 25 minutes of business, the Business Live. Don't go away. And those were some tidbits of business news headlines making news across the globe. In our first story tonight, directors are being urged to consider improving their capacities to help arrest cases of regulatory breaches. This was made known at the ongoing Corporate Governance Conference, where the Institute of Directors Ghana called for all directors to be certified before taking board positions. There's more in this report.
President of the Institute of Directors Ghana, Roxin Dogbegan, wants a legislation that will order all directors to have a license before taking up positions in the boardroom. He was speaking to Joy Business at the site of an international conference on corporate governance.
Ultimately, we may have to legislate directorship. So if you want to serve on the board, you must have some certification. I think that is what we need. But we don't need any law exactly, but then we need to legislate directorship. So if you want to serve on a public board or a private board, you need to have an insight into good corporate governance. Ultimately, if we legislate directorship, then we'll have a very sanitized environment as far as sustainability and survival of businesses are concerned.
On his part, corporate governance attorney Mervyn Kane called on directors and heads of boards to consider improving the lots of their human capital for growth.
Imagine a self-river running down the middle of your body. On one side is all the corporate sins I've been talking about: greed, sloth, opportunity for yourself, whispers in your ear by a third party: I hope the decision of the company is going to be X, Y, Z. All that's got to be ignored, and you've got to cross that self-river into the area of intellectual honesty, where you honestly apply your mind in the best long-term interest of the health of the company.
The Corporate Governance Conference was organized by the Institute of Directors Ghana in collaboration with the African Corporate Governance Network.
Moving on to other stories, Ghana International Trade Commission GITC has set the first week in December to begin hearing the issue of unfair trade practices by some Chinese manufacturers against local firm Aluwex Ghana. Aluwex is requesting the Commission to apply a safeguard measure on aluminum imports from China and other countries which are sold at cheaper rates in the Ghanaian market. Ebenezer Sabuti has more in this report. The Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ejukum, told Joy Business that the Commission has begun work on petitions presented by some 16 local manufacturing firms against other international companies. He disclosed that work is far advanced on the case brought before it by Aluwex, one of Ghana's aluminum manufacturing companies.
Very conclusively, we are about to deal with that one on Aluwex, and we scheduled a hearing for Aluwex sometime in December. If you do realize, about 2 weeks ago, we did give a notification in the newspapers about where we got into with Aluwex, and we invited anybody in the steel or in the aluminium manufacturing industry who had any issues about what Aluwex had brought to come up. So that's where we are at. Per our regulations, after the investigations, we go to the next stage of having a hearing where the 5 commissioners will sit and kind of adjudicate or arbitrate on the matters. In this instance, we bring in those that Aluwex all have been petitioned against, and they also bring in their responses, and then we move on. So it's only after that we come to a resolution as to way forward. But in the investigations, as has been said here, we go to a length of making sure that all the details that have been brought, all the data and the things that have been brought are genuine.
He spoke to Joy Business at a stakeholders engagement with the private sector in Accra. Meanwhile, Chief Executive of Aluwex, Samuel Kwesi Okun, has been speaking about his expectations from the hearing.
We are very, very impatient. I mean, after 8 long years, we are now pleased that we are at the stage where the GITC is working on our petition and we can see the end of the rainbow coming, because our case is very clear. If you read the regulations that we've been going through today, you'll find that it fits us to a T. We've had Chinese encroachment on our territory for all these years, and it's always been very clear. The Chinese have never hidden that they've put subsidies, what they call an export rebate, on the products that are coming here. They've never hidden it. It's just that we had to go through the legal process to get it redressed, and that's what the GITC is doing.
The engagement is part of activities to sensitize industry players on the mandate of the Commission. The Association of Ghana Industries AGI has backed calls for a national industrial trade policy to support local content in the upstream petroleum sector. The regulator of the industry has indicated the country's weak industrial base is making it difficult for it to meet its local content targets. CEO of the AGI, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, says some of the oil money could be strategically used to support the manufacturing sector. He spoke with Joy Business at the 6th Local Content Conference and Exhibition in Takoradi.
Indeed had one. We had a national industrial policy, which incorporated different departments, different agencies, different ministries, each of them having to play a critical role to make it integrated and make it work. I don't think it is actually being, it's taking a different form now, so we need to come back to it. And you are right, we have a weak industrial base. And I made a presentation today that if you look at the trend, since the oil and gas came in, it has increased industry's contribution to GDP, which is good. But it has not driven manufacturing along. It means that whilst we are making good revenue from the oils, we are not actually translating it into manufacturing growth. And therefore, at some point when you want to promote local content, the manufacturing to support local content is not really jarring. So what it means is that we need to have a strategy of pushing some of the oil money into supporting manufacturing and bringing it up so that a lot of the things we are importing, we can produce, both for the oil industry, for mining, and for all other sectors, to make our manufacturing sector very strong.
Now, some financial stakeholders have been speaking on the issue of domestic revenue mobilization and how the country can raise enough revenue to meet increasing expenditure patterns. Economist Dr. Ebo Duncan and tax consultant and legal practitioner William Usu-Dimetia shared their thoughts on practical solutions to this situation during last night's edition of PM Express.
One key measure that is often touted as a means of meeting Ghana's revenue target is laying emphasis on the informal sector. The sector already pays a number of indirect taxes, but there is always the debate about how the country can tax income for more revenue. Dr. Ebo Duncan is an economist and holds a different view.
We should know that at times when we say that the informal sector, they don't pay taxes. Which tax are we talking about? It's income tax that a lot of them don't pay. But when it comes to indirect taxes, they pay VAT, whatever they consume, which is VAT, dutiable, they pay, and all this. So I think when they are talking about they are not paying taxes with the income tax. And the reason why I think that the informal sector is not a game changer is that if you look at the GDP, the informal sector contributes less than 30%. And if you take figures from 2013 to 2018, even 2018, the informal sector contributed 27% to GDP. Now, if you take agric alone is around 21%. And agric is non-taxed. And so if you take agric from it, then you get the other informal sector being around 7%. And even some of them are paying taxes already.
The issue of the authority which collects the revenue also comes to the fore. The Ghana Revenue Authority is mandated by law to ensure collections are done effectively and efficiently. But are there some things that can change? Tax consultant and legal practitioner Williams Owusu-Dimitia shares his thought.
I think the GRA Act was passed in 2009, which consolidated 3 distinct revenue agencies: the IRS, then the Value Added Tax Service, and then the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service. 10 years down the line, 2019, there is reviewed some institutional challenges. Now, the integration, as far as I'm concerned, has not fully developed. So, for example, if I import an item into Ghana, I expect that the moment I am required to key in my taxpayer identification number and I use it as the consignee and I clear the goods, domestic tax, which is those looking at income tax, VAT and the rest, must automatically know that William has bought in goods worth 100,000. And so if William is to do his sales revenue and the sales revenue shows about, say, 80,000, given that he sold all the goods, it means there's a disparity between the value I declared at the port for income for duty purposes and the amount I'm declaring as income tax. That integration, that networking, that talking is still not being fully realized. Yes, you can always go back to GCMS and get it, but it's supposed to have worked in real time.
The 2020 budget has been presented and the debate as to how to meet the current revenue targets continues. Philip Namfuri's report for Joy Business.
This is Business Live. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industries will be holding its 3rd Chamber Business Awards tomorrow, November 23, at the International Conference Center in Accra. The Chamber Business Awards is an initiative of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry to celebrate the very best and finest of Ghanaian businesses and personalities who have demonstrated excellence in business practice. Let's bring on board now the CEO of the Chamber, Mark Bedu-Abuaji, to give us some more information on tomorrow's event. Mark, you're welcome to the Business Line.
Thank you very much.
So how different is tomorrow's event going to be from previous events?
Well, I think it's an added on.
Okay.
This is the 3rd one, and that's we usually say good, better, best.
Exactly.
The first one was good, second one was better, this one is the best.
Okay.
So,
are there any additions, the categories?
Yes, of course. I think the major one is for the media. We know the contribution that the media, the role that you are playing in promoting businesses and also helping create the right business environment. Your advocacy is being recognized by the chamber. So this time around, we're going to give award to the media, those who have been promoting
what
businesses.
Kind of award is that? Those promoting businesses?
Yes, those promoting businesses. So we are giving it to institutions like, if for instance Joy should win, we know the good things that you are doing for businesses. Others are. So we have about 15 media houses that also put in the application, vying for the same position. So the committee sat up and they have done the right thing by choosing the right media house to be celebrated.
So what's the theme for tomorrow's event?
The theme is digitizing the Ghanaian economy for competitive edge in a globalized market. We have realized that, yes, the game changer now in this competitive environment is digitization. And of course, the moment a business is able to digitize its operation, processes and transactions, the cost of production actually comes down. You're likely to improve your bottom line. So we are trying to bring that system of digitization to Ghanaian businesses, that they should move from their normal and way of doing things to a point where they will digitize most of their processes. And I think that if you want to be competitive, I mean, going forward in this globalized world, in this African continental free trade area, it requires that businesses who want to be competitive and to be able to sell within that market, to be able to also digitize their processes. So we realize that it's very key, and that's what we are promoting this particular year. And if you talk about digitization in Ghana, the only person that comes to mind is the Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Bamu Bawumia. You know what he has done in terms of digitization, the paperless at the port. You can also talk about the mobile money interoperability. You can also talk about the property identification. They are all commitment that he has shown towards digitizing the economy and making businesses more profitable.
So he's a special guest of honor.
Yes, a special guest of honor tomorrow. And
which other personalities should we expect?
We have the Minister of Trade. We have most of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Media Integration will be there. Minister of Business Development. Most of the ministers will be there, and other agencies of other agencies are also coming.
What are going to be some of the criteria that you use to pick?
Yes, we use 7 main criteria in selecting those award winners. Very rigorous, I must say. We have thought leadership engagement, we have corporate social responsibility, annual turnover and tax compliance, employment creation, customer service, innovation and technology, and of course business ethics. So these are the criteria that we use in selecting these award winners. And we realize that if you look at the selection committee, a focus group is made up of institutions who will have something to do with this area. We have Food and Drug Authority. So if you are working within that section and you say that you have your certification, quickly we need to check whether you have it, and somebody there who will check for us. We have GRA member on the committee who will check whether you've been paying tax, because government needs revenue. And much as we want to promote business, we also want to promote that businesses are also able to pay their taxes to government, for government to get money to do some of the projects that we also want to do. We have MOTI, we have GEPA, we have EPA. I mean, we are also promoting good environments when it comes to businesses. Your activities should not harm the environment in any way, sustainability. So we have somebody from EPA who will check whether you have all the certification when it comes to environmental issues. So these are individuals that were on board when it comes to, and the selection is very rigorous. So anybody who will win an award tomorrow deserves it. Well, in fact, we want to share the recognition that we have as a chamber with any award winner. So if you go anywhere and you have an award from the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, you'll be recognized the whole world.
I only believe or hope that multimedia will win the first ever media awards for promoting business.
I know you are doing quite well.
Exactly.
So I'm not here to assure you anyway, but I need your works will show.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark, for that update. Mark Bedu-Abuaje is the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So all gates lead to the 3rd Chamber Business Awards tomorrow at the International Conference Center. Now, away from that, invest resources from the Minerals Development Fund in alternative livelihoods to accelerate development in mining areas. That's the task for Obuasi Local Committee set up to manage government's mining community development schemes under the Minerals Development Fund. With 1 million Ghana cedis seed money, it will also facilitate socio-economic development in all mining communities. Chairperson for the Minerals Development Fund, Esther Ejeni, told members at the inauguration or at the Obuasi Transparency will be critical in their work. And Anansensu Mensah has more in this report.
I do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
The Mining Community Development Scheme is established to undertake research and spearhead development, including sustainable alternative livelihood projects. Madam Ejiani charged the 8-member Obuasi local management to lead socio-economic development of communities under their jurisdiction.
We respect the rights, the culture, and the traditions of the local people and believe in a bottom-up approach for local development. We, therefore, entreat you to be transparent when engaging the communities at all levels to understand their plight. Prioritize their requests and apply funds efficiently to achieve the best out of the meager. I like to promise a committee of the board's commitment and support.
Executive Director of Center for Extractive Development of Africa, CEDA, Emmanuel Kujole, encouraged members to spend the funds on sustainable initiatives.
You should not spend this money on meals and subsistence costs or general entertainment costs. Because we are at the community level, you should not spend this money on school competitions. You should not spend this money on wages and administrative costs. In fact, no church or religious body should come to you for fundraising.
The fund is released or disbursement is done and we receive our share of the royalties. The committee will see to a proper usage of the money. So it's a good news for Obuasi.
I-12 reserves 20% of mineral royalties to mining communities. Government is considering proposals to extend the fund to downstream communities for enhanced development. Dr. Norris Hammer is administrator at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
It is policy, okay, in as much that the Minerals Development Fund is established by Acts and EMAC Fund. The capping policy also is applied to several funds. So that is why we are currently affecting by the capping policy about 12% capping. So.
And just before you go, MTN Ghana has launched its new MTN iPro Amber smartphone series in Accra. Chief Marketing Officer of MTN Ghana, Noel Kojo-Ganson, says the smartphone will suit its customers and increase mobile phone penetration in the country.
In order to help increase mobile phone penetration rates in Ghana, MTN, in partnership with Micfin Company Limited, has launched a new MTN iPro Amber smartphones. According to the Chief Marketing Officer of MTN, Noel Kojo-Ganson, the telecom company is looking forward to achieving 100% smartphone penetration in the country. The CEO of the technology company of MTN, Micfin, Michael Frimpong, has urged Ministry of Communication to take a holistic approach towards the eradication of fake phones in the Ghanaian market. He said there should be several deliberations with stakeholders to gradually clear fake phones from the market.
You can start from a point because the fake phones are also seriously in the market. It's true. Nobody say it's not there. It's there. But for us to clear it off, it needs a little time. For us to identify, like the one we are bringing, we already registered with the NCA. All our IMEs are there. You can easily trace it. But there are ones that people will bring from, let's say, outside, like Dubai, which it is not easy. The way that we bring the phones and the system. If you are to bring, the NCA need to register every IMEs. If I'm to bring 20,000 phones.
The MTN iPro Amber 5S and 5S Pro smartphones comes with a 3G and a 4G internet service with improved internet connectivity. Alberta BCO's report for Joy Business.
And that's it for Business Live today. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are here for more business news. Log on to myjoyonline.com/business, where we have more of the day's topical issues in business making headlines there. Thank you very much for making a date today and, of course, the past week. Let's meet again same time on Monday. Have a great weekend.